Welcome to the Explainer. So, if you live in Western Europe, and especially if you've got one of those dynamic energy contracts, you've probably noticed something pretty wild happening lately. Today, we're diving straight into the mystery of vanishing negative energy prices. We're going to look at this bizarre economic anomaly and figure out how these negative power prices just vanished into thin air basically overnight. It is a super fascinating mix of economics, tech, and grid management. Let's get right into it. Now, when you see a sudden, massive shift like this, where negative prices just disappear, a very natural question pops up. Is the energy market being manipulated? Right? I mean, it's so tempting to think power companies are sitting in a boardroom, secretly rigging day-ahead bids to inflate prices and stop us from getting free power. But no. The short answer is no. Actually, the real answer is way more interesting than any conspiracy theory. What we are really looking at is a market adapting at literally breakneck speed. Just to set the stage for how crazy things used to be, let's talk about minus 100 euros. For years, right in the middle of a sunny summer afternoon, spot prices on the energy exchange would absolutely nosedive to minus 50, minus 100, sometimes even lower. If you had a smart home setup, you were literally getting paid to use electricity. You'd get cash to charge your EV, heat your water, run 5 loads of laundry back to back, whatever. It was an absolute golden era if you timed it right. But then, right around mid to late spring, those massive negative drops just evaporated. Even on those record-breaking, blazing sunny days when solar panels were maxed out, the price drop would just hit a brick wall exactly at €0, no lower. And this creates a really fascinating paradox. Day-ahead predicted power consumption has consistently set higher than actual real-time consumption. It created this sudden, hard floor. So you gotta ask yourself, why predict higher usage than what actually happens in reality? Part 1. The SOS signal. Why the grid broke in the first place. You see, negative prices were never actually a healthy market feature. They were essentially an SOS signal screaming that we had massive oversupply. Basically, too much electricity dumping into the grid and nobody to use it. Back in the day with a traditional grid running on gas or coal, if demand dropped, you just turned down the turbines. Easy. But the solar grid, totally different beast. Solar and wind have zero marginal fuel costs. Plus, under older subsidy models and traditional net metering schemes, solar park operators and homeowners were getting paid fixed rates no matter what the market was doing. So even when prices plunged below zero, generators had absolutely zero financial incentive to shut off. They just kept pumping gigawatts into a completely saturated grid. The market was literally screaming at them to stop, but the hardware just didn't listen. While bleeding millions of euros every time the sun shines, yeah, that's not sustainable for anyone. So the market had to force a massive shift. Let's dive into these 5 points. These are the simultaneous structural market adaptations that completely eradicated negative prices, and honestly, they did it at lightning speed. Let's break down exactly how these 5 pillars work together to fix the grid's glitch. First up, we've got automated curtailment. Put simply, generators just stopped giving their power away for free. Over the past year, commercial solar and wind farms updated their control software so it links directly to exchange pricing APIs. The exact millisecond the spot price hits zero, boom, automated systems throttle down or completely shut off power production. And this actually trickled all the way down to residential setups, too. Energy suppliers rolled out feed-in fees, which made inverter manufacturers push dynamic software updates right to your home battery. Now, millions of home systems just automatically stop exporting to the grid the second prices hit zero. And naturally, when supply instantly shuts off exactly at zero, it becomes physically impossible for the price to drop into the negative. It's a hard stop. Now, remember that paradox from earlier, the one where predicted demand was weirdly higher than real demand? Well, that comes down to risk hedging. Energy traders are actually intentionally over-forecasting demand. Why? Because in the Dutch market, for example, if a supplier underpredicts demand and gets caught short when the grid is struggling, the grid operator, tenant, hits them with absolutely massive, catastrophic imbalance penalties. I mean, huge fines. So to protect themselves during those volatile summer months, suppliers deliberately over-forecast demand on the day-ahead market. This creates extra artificial demand that basically eats up the excess solar bids, which pushes wholesale clearing prices up and keeps them firmly in the positive. So no, it isn't market rigging, it's just really calculated risk management. All right, the third adaptation is battery storage, specifically a massive surge in utility-scale storage, or BESS. Think of these giant battery fleets as automated arbitrage engines. Basically, you have these trading bots connected to the fleets, and they place standing buy orders at incredibly low positive prices. We're talking maybe €2 to €5 per megawatt hour. The very instant prices dip anywhere near zero, gigawatts of battery capacity kick on instantly to charge up. That creates this massive artificial demand floor that just completely soaks up the entire solar surplus way, way before prices even have a chance to drop below zero. But here's the thing. All of that automation, it completely relies on our fourth factor, real-time data speed. Historically, grid data was pretty sluggish. It took a while to update. But Tenet drastically upgraded their data publication speeds, cutting way down on latency for real-time grid balance updates. Because we now have this instant telemetry, high-frequency algorithmic trading bots can read the grid in real time. If an oversupply starts building up, these algorithms execute rebalancing trades on the intraday market in literal milliseconds. It completely smooths out those disastrous day-ahead price spikes in the blink of an eye. And that brings us to the crucial point that ties all this tech together, the number 15. The final piece of the puzzle was transitioning to 15-minute market settlement windows across the European exchanges. Before this, a single 30-minute surge in solar power could completely tank the price for an entire one-hour block. It was a mess. But now, markets price power in super tight 15-minute intervals. This gives the market surgical precision, letting batteries and flexible industrial loads respond instantly to shifts without causing collateral price destruction across the whole hour. Part 2. The new normal. What this means for your wallet. So, what does this actually mean for you? Well, the data paints a pretty clear picture. If you were hoping to get paid to charge your electric car forever, yeah, that anomaly is sadly over. But don't worry, dynamic tariffs are absolutely not dead. Even though the negative payouts are gone, the price gap is still extremely wide. Right now, midday lows are hovering around just 1 to 3 cents per kilowatt hour, while those evening peaks are shooting up to 30 cents or more. So if you're a smart home user and you use automation to shift your heavy energy usage to the middle of the day, you are still going to comfortably save hundreds of euros a year compared to a standard fixed contract. And if we zoom out to the developers who are actually building our energy future, the reality is pretty stark. The era of standalone, unhedged solar farms, it is officially over. Because the grid will automatically shut off supply exactly at zero now, every single new renewable energy project being financed today has to be a hybrid asset. It needs to be built directly alongside massive industrial battery storage, or it has to be locked into a long-term corporate purchase agreement. You really can't just slap down a field of panels anymore and hope the grid takes the power. It just doesn't work that way now. So what looked on the surface like some shady market manipulation was actually just the free market fixing its own software glitches in real time. It's wild. The energy transition isn't just about throwing more solar panels and wind turbines onto a field anymore. It's really about building the hyper-intelligent automated software systems required to manage all that power. So take a look at your own setup. Have you noticed the change in your dynamic power rates this summer? And more importantly, is your smart home ready for the new normal?